What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Assemblage 23. Thank you again to Kim, as always. And we're returning to his 2001 album, Failure, for the cryptically, or at least ambiguously titled House on Fire, which is to say, on a more direct or literal reading, that sounds dangerous, destructive, even fatal. The idea of a house where people take residence and where they call their home burning up, that certainly would seem to be negative. But I've seen House on Fire used in more positive connotations, meaning something that ignites the moment someone touches it or gets involved. Like two people getting along like a house on fire would mean that they instantly ignited something in each other and found a fire together. And of course, a house on fire can be used in relation to someone in sports where everything they do during a certain stretch just seems to work out. They're just on fire. They're a house on fire. They are an emergency in a more positive sense. So I feel like the track could go either way in that regard. Given that the title of the record is Failure, maybe I'd be inclined to see it in a more negative light. Either way, I would say a lot of his lyrics, as I've come to understand them, they have allegory, they have metaphor, they could speak to something that sounds more specific but can be seen perhaps in a more conceptual or metaphorical light. I will try to catch what I can, and of course look forward to Kim and others who may be familiar with this comment. This is Assemblage 23, the track is House on Fire, and it's from his 2001 album, Failure. Kick drum, yeah. Got a psychedelic trance to it. What a tune. That instantly rises to the level of one of the best tracks I've heard from him. And it's crazy. Like, starting sonically, definitely a Goa Psy vibe to this, but mixed with a bit of that almost like a Prodigy sound. Like, if Prodigy and Astral Projection did a collaboration, I feel like it would sound something like this. Because again, we get these very psychedelic trance style and dissonant melodies and a real kick drum, like a real Goa type kick drum. So definitely that flavor stood out to me as someone, again, from the world of 90s rave music. But of course, we do have those affected, gritty style vocals, and the synth bass, it seemed to double at one point, meaning it came in, it gave us the bass of this trance style tune, and then it seemed to multiply or flourish and get even more dynamic at the bottom of the track. There were some dissonant, bleepy type synths that rolled through, as well as that more rhythmic, melodic line that was like a more like a mainstream type of melody, which is a terrible way to describe it, but it felt a bit less psytrance and a bit more like electronica, for lack of a better word. But the vocals were, or not the vocals, the lyrics were incredible, and I'm like almost tempted. I think I will in a moment, once I decompress what I can remember, check them, even though I don't normally do that in reactions after a first listen. But okay, so he starts like sifting through the ashes, so something that's burned down, that has been chemically changed and destroyed, and then it sounds like he is talking about his own internal and mental and psycho-emotional experience, talking about seeking out shelter, taking shelter in a house on fire, and seeking refuge in a world of flame, and then being, what was it, imprisoned in his own subconscious, which is already a crazy line. And there were a couple others that seemed to suggest that, or what was the line like, that there's no one else to blame. So it sounds like he's speaking to the way his whole world has been burned down, and it's because he couldn't get out of his own head, he couldn't escape, or even again, he sought shelter in a place that was inherently inhospitable or unsustainable, and so now there's nothing left. Now it's the ashes of whatever house or shelter existed in his mental world. So it sounds very destroyed and reflective, and also assigning oneself blame, meaning like this, there's no one else to blame because this happened because of the way I approached the situation, the way I burned up whatever sanctuary I was seeking. So yeah, it sounds like it does very much fit into the larger album title and theme of Failure. I know there was like a line about tyranny, there were some other lines that, of course, now that I'm trying to process everything, I can't really think of. So give me one moment, and I will try to get a better handle on what's happening here. Okay, so the lines are: sifting through the ashes with unsteady hands, searching for the remnants of a broken man. Indeed, I did hear that. I forgot the broken man line as I went to do my outro here. A history of hollow lives and low ideals, a backlog of wrongdoing we can never conceal. That feels more like a statement about humanity or society or human history. I stand up and walk away from the dross toward toward the doorway of our mutual and harrowing loss. That sounds interpersonal, like the idea that there was a relationship that broke down and there's nothing left of it, and he goes to leave their mutual and harrowing loss. The only way I know to shake myself of this curse is to bring myself to something that is measurably worse. Oof. The idea of the only way to get past something bad is to go into a worse place. That's a crazy line. I sought refuge in a house on fire. I took shelter in a wall of flame. Okay, it's a wall of flame. I built a prison in my own subconscious. There's nothing else left to blame, nothing else left. Emerging from the wreckage of a life that once was, confounded by the damage my own psyche does. I mean, these lyrics are crazy good. I bear the scars of an insufferable will and the tyrannical reign it threatens to instill. So it sounds like he knows his will is actually causing himself problems, so his, sort of drive is more than his mind or life can bear. Some seek control by grabbing hold of their lives in a futile attempt to help themselves survive. So again, maybe contrasting himself with others and saying that, by seeking a more intense or comprehensive level of control precisely is what leads people to feel that, they have no control, or that it's been futile. I dig myself into a much deeper hole, running from a fate that I can never control. I sought refuge in a house on fire. I took shelter in a wall of flame. I built a prison in my own subconscious. There's nothing else left to blame, nothing else left. I woke up in a column of ash while the world came down in a horrible crash. So again, it's not just him, it's everything around him. Though again, world can of course refer to your own personal world, but it sounds like he's making both personal and more broad statements. I was naive for ever wanting this much, using self-deception as my only crutch. I do like that stanza as well. Footsteps diverge from the path they once walked. Words are eclipsed by the language they talked. And then this next stanza I did remember, though I was failing to recall it when I began my outro. Actions betrayed by promises broken. Flames consume intentions best left unspoken. Woof. And then another repeat of the chorus. I mean, that's just great songwriting. And also, again, there's a lot of failure or struggle or breakdown being referenced there. So, yeah, I'm going to let all that digest. Again, I love these electronic underground music meets a sort of wicked style of alternative dark pop music synthesis. I love the, in this case, almost overtly Goa-trance, psychedelic type stylings. Just a really compelling tune, and as I said, his songwriting is on another level. So, once again, shout out to Kim, shout out to Luca, who has been gracing us with her very sleepy presence this whole time. Let me know what you think, and I will see you next time. Peace.